white women. Come back, come back. So, I want to start off by saying the discussion in the comments under my What the Fuck White Women at the Polls video, I'm feeling it. A lot of different things were talked about, and I'm going to kind of summarize the gist of what you all said. It seems the disconnect amongst white women kind of boiled down to the 3 R's: racism, religion, and radical left views. Now, how do we have productive conversations over such divisive topics? A lot of you all stated that you don't speak with family members anymore, that you have kind of shut down to that side and you are no longer entertaining these conversations. And I think here lies the problem. And to some extent, I've probably perpetuated the problem, or this concept that cut them off. And I guess I should have worded it more like cut the behavior off. It's almost like a state of enabling people. You can love people through their bad behavior, but you don't have to enable it. Honestly, these aren't issues that are just divisive amongst white women. These are the issues that are dividing the nation. So, with that, again, how do we have productive conversations about this? Because clearly, cutting people off and putting them in a corner and just pretending they're not there isn't working. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is, white women, you all have a threshold for these conversations that Black, Indigenous, and other women of color probably don't quite have. Not that we don't talk about these issues and we're not knowledgeable about these issues. Our level of maybe empathy or compassion for racist grandma is not going to be as high as yours. And all of these issues center around lack of education. So to get people educated, you have to bring them in, but choose not to enable them. Let me know what you think in the comments, you all.
With you once upon a dream, I know you, that gleam in your eyes is so familiar, a gleam.
Yeah, okay, the mama had a swag like mine. She even wear a herd on her back like mine.
Stop scrolling. We need to spread Jaheim's story like it's never been spread before. Today. Jaheim was 15 years old, 15, when the police executed him. Unarmed, Jaheim's hands were up. Don't shoot, but the police don't give a fuck about none of that. After shooting Jaheim in the head, they put him in handcuffs and left him to bleed out because, of course, his lifeless body could fight back. Then they arrested and held his 4 friends in jail for over a week without talking to a parent or a lawyer. Their schools unjustly expelled them without them even receiving a charge. December 3rd, we out there. We're organizing a protest for Jaheim McMillan. We, the community, need you out there. This will not work unless we all stick together and show up for Jaheim on December 3rd. This video might not get 1 million likes, but it's our voice that makes a difference. We need all of TikTok to make a video and encourage people to come on December 3rd. Tell the world what happened, DM it to me, and we're going to repost it. There's power in the people. You have to open up your mind to see it.
So the FCC wants to ban TikTok. And Elon Musk just took over Twitter. Tell me again about how it's Jews that want to control the media.
The NYPD protected an anti-trans quote-unquote feminist group and arrested trans rights protesters that were on the sidewalk. This trans exclusionary quote-unquote feminist group was ending a countrywide speaking tour at City Hall in New York City. As you can see, these are some of the blatant transphobic signs that were included. So naturally, trans rights activists came to protest this hypocrisy. Here, you can see an NYPD officer pointing out a trans rights protester before arresting them, and then only after the arrest playing the LRAD, declaring that the protest is obstructing traffic when the only people in the streets were the police. Here, an NYPD officer attempts to grab a trans liberation sign. Here, an NYPD officer is fighting a trans rights protester. A total of 9 trans rights protesters were arrested, while none of the trans exclusionary quote-unquote feminist group was, and instead was heavily protected by the NYPD. To say that there was an excessive amount of cops protecting the trans exclusionary quote-unquote feminist group would be an understatement. There were more cops than people at this event. They were positioned to kettle, even having a back line behind a fence and locking up the subway station, which is illegal because it's a blatant fire hazard. When the trans exclusionary quote-unquote feminist group went to leave, they received a private escort from the NYPD to the parking garage to make sure that they got home safe. This ironically took place on the first day of Trans Visibility Week, and it's important that people are aware that this is who the NYPD protect and serve, that this took place in New York City and is truly a microcosm of how trans rights continue to be under attack in the United States.
I'm very sorry, and I apologize for the inconvenience of me not keeping up.
And I'm swerving in the streets, got you nervous that I'm really lurking, murder on the beat. Been a burden, now I'm really working, 80 Tennessee. You a servant, got your bitch, she working, twerking in the seats. Yeah, hey, get the fuck out of my way.
In the falling rain, I drive a Rolls Royce, 'cause it's good for my voice. But you won't fool the children of the revolution. Now you won't fool the children of the revolution. Now, no. Yeah!
Wow, that's really crazy. Now, I'm no racism or whitewashing expert, but I do know something about color theory, so look at this. This is a drawing I drew earlier today, and this lady here, she's very obviously supposed to be white, but if you take her skin tone, her skin is actually darker than Claudine's. That's the lightest part of her skin. This is because of lighting. Here's another drawing, and here's a recreation with no shading and a flat white background. Notice how it looks kinda goofy? Notice how this one looks lighter than this one, even though they're the exact same color? Now, these aren't the best examples in the world, but my point still stands. Color picking is not a good strategy, and I'm not gonna sit here and accuse you of being racist or intentionally whitewashing her, but either way, you suck at color theory.
Let's go.
What are you doing? Oh, hi. I'm Kat Edison. We're just taking a break. We've been...
Loitering? I live in this building, and I know for a fact that you do not.
You're right, we don't. Right, we were just canvassing the neighborhood.
More like casing it. That selfie was a picture of my security system.
I'm sorry, I'm actually running for city council. I I live in this neighborhood.
Yeah, I find that hard to believe.
And why is that?
Okay, fine. Just, show me your phone.
Show you my phone?
Yeah.
Why would I give you my phone?
Well, if you're just taking a selfie and not taking a picture of my security system, just hand over your phone or just show it to me.
I don't have to give you my
phone.
phone.
Well, I think you do, actually.
Is
there a problem here? Yeah. These two were lounging in front of my building taking photos, and there have been a lot of robberies here.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but following Black content creators, which you should be doing, follow me, is not enough. You gotta engage with our content. That's the trick that they don't teach y'all. You have to do both. When you see the video, like the damn video. Don't just scroll past the damn video. Leave a goddamn comment. Click copy link. If you don't feel like leaving a comment, hell, I don't know, do something else. There's so many options. But yeah, do something. Yeah. Not just me, everybody. Please and thank you.
The tragic fact here is that Black trans as well as gender nonconforming women are being killed in the United States by cis, homophobic, transphobic, and xenophobic Black men to such a degree that it is nearly the worst emergency for trans women on the planet. The murders of Black trans women by Black men since 2016 have helped drive the most violent period for LGBTQ plus people on record. These are the facts. These facts are unacceptable.
As someone who went from right to left in college, I can tell you definitively, it's because college teaches and emphasizes source validity. And many college courses, you have to participate in devil's advocate exercises where you're intentionally assigned a difficult to defend position, but you'll get a good grade on it if you present it objectively using credible sources. One time I was in a toxicology class and had to defend the use of e-cigarettes, which is obviously a difficult stance to take. But when looking at the data, I realized the only way that I could properly present this was to say that they're slightly better than traditional tobacco. And I got a good grade on it, not because my professor agrees with the use of e-cigarettes, but it was because I presented it objectively using credible sources. So if you can't write an essay or create a presentation defending your stance, no matter how unpopular it is, you're getting a bad grade, not because your professor disagrees with you, but because your stance lacks logic and reason.
It's day 222 of being a girl. It's day 14,225 of being.
I don't know about y'all, but I personally would not hop my 38-year-old ass on this fucking kid app to be a TERF. But what the fuck do I know? You know? I hate bitches like this whose only personality trait is being a mother. You don't have any personality. You don't know who you are. And you're out here procreating, and you don't see a problem with that. Listen, Betty Crocker, if you want to be an oven your entire life, that's your prerogative, because you shut the fuck up and let everybody else live their life. Nobody's stopping you from being a mother. No one's stopping you from being a woman. And your proclivity to lay on your back does not make you more of a woman than anybody else. And I know that you know that there are cisgendered women in this world who can't have children medically. So by basing your definition of womanhood off of your ability to pop out crotch goblins, you're discounting them. I know you know that because the girls are eating your ass up in the comments and the stitches, as they should. I need you to be so ferociously, expeditiously for real with me. What about Dylan talking about her transition into womanhood triggers you so badly? Think before you start talking, because white women, y'all just like to do this without any critical thinking, and the shit is annoying. So think about your answer first. But what is it about Dylan, aside from the fact that she's trans, bothers you? Because if she had never said anything about being trans and she was just femme presenting from the jump, you would have no problem with her talking about any of the things that she's done, any of the things that she's been lauded for, applauded for, given accolades, all the opportunities that she's gotten would not be an issue to you if she didn't talk about her transness, if she would have just presented herself as a cisgendered woman. And on the flip side of that, if she hadn't disclosed that she was trans and you found out later, then you would be talking about how it's so unfair and it's so unsafe and blah, 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 whatever the fuck you TERFs and fucking transphobes talk about. Not my fucking circus, not my fucking monkeys. If all you've ever contributed was adding to the surplus population, get a hobby or a job or both or therapy. Like, I'm generally here for white on white crime, but Dylan's done nothing to anyone and you're being a fucking weirdo. I wish you'd stop. Go buy you a Live, Laugh, Love or Bless This Mess kitchen placard and leave us the fuck alone, girl. Have a bad day.
Slide in, I slide out. Yo, hold up. You killed that hoe.
Why is it that anytime a person mentions anything remotely feminist, no matter who they're talking to, a dude, and you know which dudes, will pop up out the woodworks talking about stuff? Oh, you want to have a conversation? Oh, you trying to debate? No, Bradley, I'm not. You got the same 6 talking points as the other dude. Like, even if we were trying to reach a compromise, which we're not, because your end goal is my subjugation and my end goal is my liberation, you have nothing new to say. Like, if you want to debate, bring something new to the table. But if you're just going to listen to the same 7 alpha male podcasts and bring their talking points over here, I'm not trying to hear it. Under no circumstances.
Hey, friends.
Hey.
So it's Abraham.
Hey, Abraham.
A couple days ago, I did a video about White Lives Matter. And in that video, I said, my kids are white.
Oh, you said that?
And you know what's interesting about that?
What?
I meant that 100%.
Oh, you meant it?
And here's why.
Tell me why.
My kids are 100% white.
100%?
And they're 100% black.
I bet the cops don't think that.
Half of each, right? So therefore, we believe that all lives matter.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
Not trying to be rude or offensive to anyone, but being able to happily say,
The first thing I noticed was that my students were equally brilliant in the Harlem setting as they were when I taught at Yale or Oberlin, but their senses of what the meaning of that brilliance was and what they could do with it, their sense of agency was profoundly different. When students came to Yale, they came there knowing that they're the best and the brightest and they think that they have a certain kind of future ahead for them. They, in a sense, are open to embracing that future. It has nothing to do with the level of knowledge. It has more to do with their sense of entitlement about having a future.
Oh, magnet. Has anyone ever told you your type of skin blends in exactly with our wall color? I didn't even see you there. You should try that synthetic tanning spray. I've seen it locked behind the counter at my CVS. It would help you look more professional and less scary. What brings you in today? You're following up on a time off request? You sent it a month ago? Are you sure? I didn't get it. You reminded me yesterday? Okay, you don't have to get loud. I'll check. Oh, here it is. I had filtered it into junk mail. You want this Thursday and Friday off for, what is this? Thanksgiving? What is that? Oh my goodness. Okay, so to me that sounded like a made-up holiday. Are you sure this isn't some sort of country music festival you want to go to? I am not in the business of giving handouts, and I cannot allow you to take time off to go to a country music concert. Oh, right. Thanksgiving. Material, if I start giving you time off for every little ethnic holiday, you'll never be here. You know what? I have an idea, Material. We have Hanukkah off, which is a real holiday and a magical time of year. why don't you have your little Thanksgiving then?
Friendly reminder to be careful about how you use the word articulate, okay? If you're using it about someone who has less social power than you, you're being an asshole. You're microaggressing them. I personally have only ever heard this word used to describe Black academics, so just be careful.
Here's what I find so tragic about these young, pretty, conservative women. You're such a gaslighted demographic because one of the pillars of this ideology that you're bought into is that some people are just inherently superior and inferior people deserve to be exploited. And sure, women are technically property, but you don't have to worry about that because you are hot property. Exceptions will be made for you. So you're more than willing to play into this needlessly cruel game because you've been assured that you'll win. And soon the young winning man of your dreams will look at you and say, yes, that is what I'm supposed to want, and acquiring her will make me look like a superior man. And on your way to your superior life together, you will become his obedient, righteous, lonely domestic servant. Congratulations. Until one day, you get a scary mammogram. And you discover that he never signed up to be a nursemaid. And unlike you, the young 24-year-old bleach blonde at the office understands that he's the most important person in any room. And she'll have no qualms about poaching your mate because he's her ticket to a superior life. And at that moment, when the handle has snapped off of the basket that held all of your eggs, you might realize that you were flattered into giving your entire life away in service of a man who only ever saw you as a commodity, because I assure you, that is how these men see you. And being hot property won't have protected you from a life of being used up and discarded. But here's the kicker. You'll have sunk so much of your life into proving your own politics right that you won't be able to direct that rage in the appropriate direction, because that will mean admitting that you were had. So there you'll be, a middle-aged woman with a pert haircut and great Botox, standing in line at a Kroger, making the fact that your life didn't turn out as promised into an assistant manager's problem, because don't they know that exceptions are supposed to be made for you. Good luck, babe. Good luck.
Bro, those noodles look tasty. Alright, there are two big problems in the anime community that we need to really address: racism and pedophilia. But I want to focus on racism today, alright? Support minorities who cosplay. That's the bottom line that I'm gonna say today, alright? The amount of shit they have to deal with every day just because they don't look like a certain skin tone from a character that they dress up as is nothing short of atrocious, stupid, and blatantly arrogant. This goes out to the people who call them that too. You want to tell me it's okay to call someone a racial slur just because they don't look like Mikasa from fucking Attack on Titan? Go fuck yourself. I want to eat that.
Do you have ADHD? Do you use drugs? Yes, caffeine, nicotine, and weed are drugs. Stick around for this one. My name is Juno. I use they, them pronouns. I'm a harm reduction outreach worker, and I also have ADHD and use drugs. Here's a quick lesson on ADHD and substance use. For simplicity's sake, I'm going to heavily overgeneralize this. People with ADHD experience a chronic deficiency of dopamine in the brain. This deficiency can also contribute to other deficiencies of other chemicals in the brain like norepinephrine and serotonin, but we're going to skip that part. Dopamine helps our bodies with satisfaction, motivation, and pleasure, which is why people with ADHD experience executive dysfunction, among many other things. Due to the dysregulation of the chemicals in the brain, this is also why people with ADHD experience things like hyperfixations. People with ADHD experience a very intense and very short-lived release of dopamine when they are hyperfixated on something. This is why they have so much motivation and so much pleasure and feel so stuck on that task, and then feel super exhausted because that dopamine drains out really intensely as well. For a lot of people with ADHD, the only way they can experience that high and that pleasure is from very intense but short-lived moments of dopamine release. This is why people with ADHD are 3 times more likely than the average population to use substances. A lot of people have confusion about why someone that is stereotypically ADHD for example, hyper and fidgety, is being prescribed stimulants to treat it. And that's because those who do experience hyperactive symptoms experience them as a result of lower dopamine levels. What stimulants do is they increase your dopamine levels, and as a result, it balances itself out and it helps with your behavior. This is also why people with ADHD not only prefer stimulants, but also experience stimulants differently in the body. A lot of people with ADHD go on to self-medicate unknowingly by using things like caffeine and nicotine, which are all stimulant drugs. And that's because those drugs are actually regulating their ADHD instead of getting them the high that anybody else would experience. Because of this chronic dopamine deficiency, people with ADHD often seek out substances in order to self-medicate rather to feel good. And instead of necessarily seeking out a high, they are seeking out what their state of normalcy feels like. Studies have revealed that the brains of people with substance use disorder and ADHD are nearly identical. Because people with ADHD usually achieve a state of normalcy rather than a high, it is actually a lot harder for them to quit substances. They may find it more challenging than the average person to not use substances. In addition, they might need much higher doses and much more frequent doses of different substances to get the same effect. A lot of people don't know that ADHD stimulant medications are way too similar to meth. The pure form of methamphetamine is actually prescribed under the brand name Desoxyn, while other ADHD medications like Adderall or Vyvanse only differ from methamphetamine by one molecule. That one molecule being that one blocks the reuptake of serotonin while the other one doesn't. That's it. This is why a lot of ADHDers feel alone or different in their substance use.